and your life. Now we do these live streams for free. So all I ask, if you find value in these or if you find it interesting, go ahead and share this with your audience and let them know that we're about to have an amazing guest on today. Today I get to have Wendy Morales on, and this is just going to be a show dedicated to celebrate women who have created a lane for themselves and that are doing extraordinary things in the world. And if you do catch these episodes live, make sure that you tag me, you tag Wendy, and we get to acknowledge you as well. And let me bring her on right now. Hold on. We're going to invite her on right now, get her on. I'll do a quick little intro. And so as she's coming on, I believe I just added you. Accept. Hello.
Hey, Tanya, how are you?
Hi, Wendy. Thanks for finally getting on here. I've been at you this is the power of persistence, everybody. The power of persistence. I finally got this woman on the show.
I am so honored and so happy to be here with you. I'm actually going to adjust.
Yeah, so as you adjust, let me do a quick... I know, right? There's those little top things. We got to make sure. But he's like, are you ladies like dressed? What type of show is this? This is a show to elevate yourself. Let me do a quick intro. Wendy Morales, she is a TV host with the CW, the Connect Network. That's originally how we met. COO at the Morales Law Office and realtor at Compass. Did I miss anything that now you're doing some underground work somewhere and...
No, I think you've got us covered, Tanya. Thank you so much.
Yes, you are a woman doing many things. You have many hats. And I guess my first question to you is, this is really about like the woman behind all of the roles, all the hats. But out of all of the careers, you chose host, you chose COO, and also realtor. What was it that got you into those three lanes? Uh-oh, you froze. Oh no. Well, at least she froze with a smile on her face. Let's see. Let me see if you're on here. Okay. Okay, I was like, at least she froze with a smile on her face.
Always. A smile is so important.
Yes. Well, you look stunning as always. But I'm not sure if you heard what I had asked. I had asked, out of all of the career paths, you chose host, which is originally how we met on the Connect Network. Also, you chose COO and you chose a realtor. What was it that got you into those three avenues?
Well, when I see an opportunity, I've usually been a yes woman. Mm-hmm. And, I just love to take on new challenges, and I love to be a part of something new and do a challenge. And, so being a host was definitely something that I never imagined I would be doing. And I did have a little bit of fear going into it, but
I don't know what's going on here. Sorry, everybody. Let's see where Wendy went. Let's see. Technical difficulties, everybody. We're getting it back up. Let's see, I just added you up, so let's accept. I accepted you. Let's get out and start this over again, maybe. This is not good. Hello? I'm like,
what is happening?
Is your Wi-Fi set? Because I had this with Monica. Is your Wi-Fi? I always have to check my Wi-Fi that it's like when I leave my building, it changes to different Wi-Fi, so it's to make sure that it's connected.
Okay, I think we're good to go. And third time's a charm.
Yes.
So here we go. So going back to being a host, like I said, I was a little bit afraid of jumping into that, but it's like, it take risks and you're never going to know, what it could have been. And so I jumped into being a host at a very, very hard time in my life. I had lost my mother to COVID, and I too had gotten COVID, and it was pretty serious. And so during that time that I was sick, it was a little tough trying to get well and losing my mom. But one day I go to my messages, and there's a message from our incredible producer and owner of the network, Natalie Cardaus, who is a powerhouse who we met through. And she had said that she had heard a lot of great things about me, and she would like to know if I was interested in coming onto her show as a host. And I thought, wow, yes, I didn't know what to say at the moment. I have done some commercials, and I have done a little bit of modeling for photo shoots for some clothing line, but never on TV. However, like I said, that was just an opportunity that came to me right at the perfect time and just brought new excitement. And, definitely I'm all about challenges. And so I said yes. And here we are 3 years later, because, I am a strong believer for success. There's 3 C's in success, Tanya. The 3 C's are core value, commitment, and consistency. I think that we all know in business and life and family and relationships, in everything that we do and we set ourselves to accomplish goals in, as long as we are committed and consistent, there's always going to be success.
And what about so how did you become the COO at Moral? Well, that's your last name, so that's you, law office, and also realtor. Were you these before you got into hosting, or?
So I've been the CEO for Morales Law Office for 21 years now. I've always been really great at behind the scenes. And again, I love consistency. I love commitment. And so I met my husband 21 years now. We've been happily married for 21 years. And he is an attorney. He is a criminal defense attorney. He's also a federal trial lawyer. And so he offered me the position to run his law offices. At the time, we were in West Texas. And so his main office was and is still there in Midland, Texas. We have an incredible team that, is also, they play the biggest part, obviously, in our success. So I went ahead and started that position with him. Shortly after we married, we stayed in Midland, Texas for a couple of years, and he was ready to grow. He knew it was time to grow, and he knew that together, along with our team that we currently had, that we can make this happen. So he said, okay, it's time to pack up the bags, the kids, and let's move over to Central Texas. So we came to Austin, Texas, where he and I opened up our second office here in Austin. And let me tell you, it was a lot of commitment, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of consistency. But in the end, it was worth it. We have grown since. We have our office here in Austin. We then opened up a third office in San Marcos, Texas. And our fourth office is in Georgetown. We also have personal injury out of Dallas as well. So, once again, when I'm presented with a challenge, I love to take it. And I think that anything is possible as long as you're always willing to work hard, grow, and be open, to learning. And so together, he and I, again, many times I had to wear many hats. And, when we talk about success, I always say people think it's just a straight shot to success. But everyone knows that's, in business and that has created successful business, that this is the way that success goes.
I was going to say, it's like this.
That's right. I think that's still sort of a little bit of a smooth, putting it in a smooth way, but you're right. That's actually the way it goes. And that many times is daily, Tanya. And so, there was a lot to juggle. We came here with our three little ones. Our oldest at the time was 10. She is now 28. She's married, and she's actually very successful. She's a wedding planner, and she's also my business partner in real estate. So jumping on to real estate, I actually started that right at the time that I agreed to become a host, that I was very excited to become a host. I actually had started the process of being a realtor. Again, I wanted something with meaning. I wanted something new, and I wanted something to keep me just excited and thriving after losing my mom. And I wanted to do it in her honor. So it was so important to me to start something new. Again, I've been doing the operations for Morales Law Office for so many years. So I have that pretty, organized and structured to where I can take on a new career. And so at the time, my daughter, her husband had gotten transferred here. He started a new position here in Austin. And it was perfect timing for she and I. And I said, hey, why don't we go together? Let's do this together. Let's build a team. And, we could do so great. And here we are again, 3 years later. We're with Compass. It's a great company. They have best platforms for you to be successful. And so, we've been doing it. We've really enjoyed it. Again, a lot of learning, a lot of consistency, a lot of, just day in, day out, learning new things, but also, it's so worth it in the end.
I love that. Number one, that you talk a lot about team, and without saying it directly, community and building something, challenges. You also talked about you were in the game with the law firm for 21 years, and then this is 3 years. So you said you had this pretty much established, so you needed something more challenging and stimulating. Now that we got the roles down and what drove you to those specific ones, I want to pull back into the human being before the extension of the business or the mom or the wife and all these other things, as you operating as your best self as a human being. What are today in your life your go-tos, your non-negotiables, your daily habits and rituals that allow you to operate at peak states just in your day alone with all of the responsibilities that you have going on?
That's such a great question. Thank you for asking that. I would like to say that, again, consistency, commitment to myself. We all like success, and with success comes a lot of hustle. But one of the things that I find very important for me that keeps me going daily is self-love, self-care. And if you're my friend on Instagram or Facebook, you can see that one of the most important things for me is a daily workout, because our health is our wealth. And not only that, but that time for me is just so special because that's the place where I can go, where I can disconnect. And honestly, it's time for me to meditate. I put on my music and then I start doing my workout, and I just can actually decompress, but I'm doing it in a productive way. And I'm, staying healthy, trying to stay healthy. And that's just something that is very, very important for me. And I think for many others. Another thing is really nurturing relationships. When it comes to girlfriends, to family, but especially girlfriends, I find it so important to always make that time to spend away with your girlfriends. I feel like, again, being committed, being consistent with your relationships, your friendships, your girlfriends, is very important. Every one of them brings something so different to the table and to your life that I just feel like, where would I be without them? I learned so much from my friends. And so that's something that I'm also not willing, ever to give up my time with them. I think it's just one of the things that makes me my best me. They bring me joy. They bring me laughter. So many things. And, hey, they empower me, and I empower them. We are always about empowering and supporting one another. Let's see, what else would I say?
Do you have like a morning and a night routine that are pretty much staples for you, where if you're like, if you miss it, then you're just not like as mentally sharp, or maybe you just don't feel as capable of handling like big stressors that could be thrown your way?
I do have a morning routine. I would say I don't really have an evening routine because we're so busy and we're usually either traveling, we're networking, we're always all over the place, or with girlfriends, but my morning routine, Tanya, thank you for asking. It is very important for me. I wake up, I do have to have a cup of coffee. When I go to bed, I always think about my cup of coffee the next morning. It's very important. So I do wake up, I have my cup of coffee, I go and get dressed, and I head out to the gym. And I usually spend anywhere from an hour to sometimes 2 hours, just depending how early I can get there. But again, that just gets my day going, my mind just starting to run and work and operate. And that's the most important thing for me, is to get up and go to the gym.
Amazing. You mentioned like your girlfriends being a really big part of your non-negotiables, things that you're like, nope, not giving up my girl time. Now, that probably means you have a great enriched ecosystem of friends. And speaking of quality-based, like inner circles, what are some core values that you set for when you bring in people closest to your heart?
I am a person that I would have to say, I don't know how to put this in words, but I have to feel that they're genuine and sincere. And I've never had, I'm not a person that creates friendships in the sense of, what can you do for me? It's usually, what can I do for you? And, they, of course, it always is important that they have the same values that I have. I would say, again, sincerity, fun.
What is fun for you? Just curious, because fun is like different for everybody.
Well, you're so cute. Fun could be so many different things for me. I do love to cook. I love to cook. So let's just say, one of the fun things for me is, for example, for my birthday, my daughter gathered about 17 of my girlfriends, and we all went and did a cooking class.
Oh, that is fun.
We had wine, we cooked pasta, and then we went out for cocktails after. That's fun for me. Another thing that I am big on is taking a girls' trip, whether it's Miami, whether it's Vegas, whether it's Dallas, Texas. I just love to get away with them. I love to wake up and have my girlfriends around, and we're just catching up on life, sharing our stories, sharing, our wins, our losses, our lives, how we can grow, how we can become better versions of ourselves. And then going out to hang out by the pool, maybe reading a book, listening to music. That I love. That to me is fun. Also taking a workout class with them. Just anything from getting to be with them just one-on-one by a pool, or being in a restaurant, dancing, just the night away. So yeah, I mean, there's so many things that I love to do for fun with them. And for myself, I love to shop. We all know, or you would know, most that know me know that I love to shop. Clothes, fashion has always been a really big thing for me.
You are always on point. I will say that. I'm like, my girl's on point.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Actually, it's funny, when we were at Monica's house in Miami, filming for her show, when I saw you in the living room, I was like, wow, who is that girl? I still remember the silver sparkly dress that you were wearing, because that's something that really catches my eye, is how a person dresses. That's another important thing for me. But it doesn't make it or break it whether we're going to become really good friends or not. I just had to put that out there. But I mean, I was just like, look at this woman. She's just so stunning, and I love how she's dressed. And I think I'm pretty sure, I know that I told you that probably about 10 times that night. On top of that, your smile, that's another thing that I'm attracted to, is when people I should have said that from the beginning. I can feel when someone has great energy, and that I need that in my life to continue to have great energy myself.
Yeah.
I love to laugh. I love people that are funny. A lot of my friends are funny because I'm not funny, so they are, and they constantly keep me laughing. So that's very, that's something that's important to me when it comes to selecting friends and keeping them around.
I love that you said that too, because like something I've been talking about recently is like vibrational cleanup and energy cleanup. And, I think anybody that has good energy can say that it is a daily practice, that it is work, and that our staples and our non-negotiables, like you're talking about, your workouts, like those are, you're almost like being irresponsible if you don't show up for your workout, because then you're most likely gonna be in a bad mood to your husband or your children or your work environment. And so it's like almost becomes irresponsible if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not loving yourself, which you mentioned were really important to you. And so I think I wanted to say that because I don't think it's talked about enough as far as our energy and our good energy versus our bad energy, because we're all human beings at the end of the day.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. And it's funny you bring that up. I was actually thinking about that today. I'm not sure what I saw yesterday. I saw something on Instagram, which reminded me that there are days, because we are human, and there are days that, I think I was experiencing that on Monday, now that I think about it. And just thinking yesterday morning, like, wow, I really feel fatigued. I feel tired. Maybe I may just consider skipping the gym. But then the other side of me is like, absolutely not. You've got this, just show up. show up and, because once you show up, it's like you said, you never know how you're going to end up leaving or who you're going to run into or just something that's going to happen in the time that you're there because you showed up. That's just going to make you feel so much better or make you a better you throughout the day and throughout life. So I think if you always keep that in mind is no matter how you're feeling, no matter what's going on, just show up. Mm-hmm. That's really important.
Yeah.
And again, it all falls back to consistency. And, I did want to go into that a little bit and talk about the 3 C's, core value, consistency, and commitment. Because I learned that at a very young age, coming from immigrant parents, we came here when I was very young. We came to the U.S. when I was very young. And there was no way for them to be successful if they weren't those 3 things. And so at a very young age, they instilled that in me, and I began with core value. And I knew right away that I was going to have to be consistent and committed to everything I did to continue to be successful, just like my parents were. We were 6 siblings, my mom and my dad. Wow. And so my mom was very, very great at, she would go and buy us clothing because we were 6, and she bought it at a secondhand store. She knew how to fix her clothes to where they looked brand new. So, I was so grateful for her for that. And I learned so much from her. But I did learn at a young age, being in such a big family, that I was going to have to work hard and be committed and consistent. So I started working very young. Again, I had a passion for clothes since I was very young. So I started working at the age of 10 to make extra money so that I could buy my own clothes separate from what she could, they were able to give us. And so it started then. The consistency, the commitment started since I was 10. And from that point on, I worked every summer. My friends always knew that work came first because that's just the way it was. And I loved it. I always had a passion for working, for, hustling, for just being able to attain everything that I would set myself and the goals that I would accomplish them if I just remained committed and consistent.
So powerful. I'm surprised you don't have a clothing line.
It's been in the works.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I've really considered. My 2 daughters and I have really been talking about that. And actually, my son has started a line called Dogged. And so I've also been talking to him a little bit lately about I'm ready to help him, really get that launched and get going. But yeah, it's something that
at least be buying them clothes and writing them off.
I know. Thank you for the idea, for reminding me, Tanya, that it's time. So I think I'll go ahead and add that to my list next.
Yeah, because typically you hear stories like that where like I worked hard and then I bought clothes when I was like 10. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like in your bloodline. Like, where's your fashion line already?
Yes, I need to pull out the little booklets. I've actually, whenever I was younger, I would design. I had a little book where I would, do my drawings. And many times when I'm purchasing something, I look at it and I love it, but I do always say, well, if that was mine, I would, adjust it this way, or I would have it created this way or designed this way. And so you're right. I think it may be time.
There's a part in the human body. It's an energy system, and it's the energy system before the last energy system of survival into thriving. And our first energy system of thriving is the heart center. And below that is something called the solar plexus. And the solar plexus, there's a statement that's connected to really charging this energy system. And it's, when I do blank, then I'll blank. And a lot of times we're like, well, once I maybe make more money, then or once I get more established, then I'll start that fashion line. Or once has there been something that there's a reason why you've been putting that thing? Or is there, I don't know, like something that where you've ever said that, where you've like put it on the side, like, well, once I do this, then I'll do it. And then you've already achieved that thing and you still haven't done it. Did I make sense of that question?
Yeah, you absolutely did.
Okay.
At this point, I would say not at this point right now, but I could give you an example with real estate. It kind of goes sort of with your question, but I have been putting real estate on the back burner for a really long time. I always heard, well, if you become an agent and you want to be successful, it's like a 24/7 job. And so forever, I knew that this was something that I wanted to do and something that I wanted to accomplish. But because I was raising my three beautiful kids, I always had just put it on the back burner for so long. And I just kept saying, because of my time, because I can't give that 1,000% and give everything else that I'm working on currently or that I have going on 1,000%, then that's going to have to sit in the back for now. One day, hopefully, I can accomplish it. And so it was in my future plans. However, I didn't know how long it was going to take to be able to commit and get it done. And so finally, again, it was just the right time. But my kids had grown, I had raised them, and one was already off to her freshman year in college, and the other one was also a senior in high school. When I said, okay, it's time. Now, they're going off to do their own thing, and now I actually have freed up some space in, my life and all the little blocks of life, the pieces of the puzzle. So I knew I was, going to be able to move or change another puzzle piece. And so I said, it's time. And so it took me, I would say, I had been wanting to do this real estate, becoming an agent, I would say at least I had talked about it and thought about it at least for about 11 years.
Oh, wow.
And that long before I was actually able to finally accomplish it. So I hope that it's sort of...
Yeah. Let me ask you this on that one. Knowing what you know now, being in the game for 3 years and having your foot actually in it based on what somebody was telling you, because, we have these expectations, whether it being imposed on us from outside sources or even internal dialogue, but knowing what you know now with your own experience, do you think you could have started earlier on, even though you did have the kids and you were raising the kids?
I would like to say if I really, wanted it that much at the time, yes, I could have. But at the time, it was so important. And for me, it was a priority to be a mom 1,000%. And so it does take a lot of your time if you want to be a good agent, if you want to be great for your clients, if you want to provide great service. And so I just feel like I may not have been I don't think that I could have really devoted as much as I would have wanted to that at the time. So I have to be honest and transparent and say, no, I don't think so. Not for me, at least. No. Because I already had, I was spending so much time, growing our offices, developing our offices along with my husband. And again, when you have kids, when you're a mom, there's so many tasks to take care of and to handle, and, them growing up, all their activities. And then as they're growing up, you think, well, I'm going to have more time, obviously, while they're still at home. But because they're getting older, they can do so much for themselves. But honestly, you just get busier. The older they get, while they're still at home, you're just busier because from activities, from sports, to helping them learn to drive. There's just so much always going on. And, that's, again, going back to my mother, that's one thing that I always admired her so much for, is just being the best mom to 6 kids, and just
it's a lot.
One of them. So
that's a business.
Yes. However, I do want to say one thing that I did learn that she did not do. She never had any non-negotiables, and now that I learned from her, and just devoting her time to everyone else and not to herself, how important that was going to be for me. I wanted to work hard just like she did. I wanted to give my children 1,000%, but she never made time just for herself. She never did so. And maybe that was her passion. Maybe for her, being an excellent mom and just devoting every minute of her life to us was self-care. But I find it very important in order for us to be able to give the best of ourselves, especially now. Back then life was slower, but now, in the day and time that we live in now, if we want to be able to give our best selves as mom, as women, as friends, we have to take care of ourselves first. Would you agree, Tanya?
Yeah. Well, number one, I'm not a mom. I'm a plant mom. So that's number one. So you guys are literally executives, like running businesses within businesses with kids. But yeah, I mean, I wish my mom would have prioritized herself. I've got twin brothers. I've got a sister. So there's 4 of us. And, I still to this day, I'm like, Mom, like, you have to put yourself first, because it does impact your mood, your energy, your patience, your level of, your energy that you're bringing to the table in the household. But I think it's more about, from my understanding and having conversation with so many women from so many different generations, that I believe that it was really a generational thing, that you're a bad mom if you prioritize yourself. And now it's a little bit more common. Now it actually is not a little bit, it's a lot more common, where we're talking about self-care is an act, like being selfish is an act of taking care of yourself so that you're capable of giving the best of you versus what's left of you. And so yeah, I'm definitely on board with you on that. I'm all about self-care, being selfish, and in a way where you can pour back into others. But I do see the difference, and I do see that it has a negative impact when women are not taking care of themselves, especially, and men too, when they have families, because that energy does carry on into the home, into the business, into friendships, into everything.
Yes, I do agree. I strongly agree, because, like you mentioned, it's how we're taking care of ourselves, that's what we deliver. That's what we deliver in everything, in business, in our families, in our friendships, as moms. And I do agree with you. I do think it was a generational thing at the time. And so now that it's not like that, I want to teach my daughters how important it is that you can still have a life too. Even if you're a successful business owner, if you're a mom, if you're a wife, that you can still have a great and fun life with your girlfriends, with yourself, to take care of yourself. And I think, what I love now too is that I think so many husbands are on board with that as well, or so many significant others. They're on board with that, and they understand, now it's like, I feel like before, it was, well, for example, in our home with my family, it was my dad went out to work. My mom worked as well. She was a housekeeper, but she was home most of the time. And so she was, home to wash, take care of the kids, pick us up from school, cook dinner. And now I love that. I love to see that so many families, the man also helps, the husband helps. He cooks while the wife goes to the gym, and then, vice versa. And I just love that now it's more of a team. Like, it's all, everybody puts in effort. And that's one thing that's been important for us here at home, is to teach our kids that you know, we're a team here in our home, our family. We're a team. And so everyone has to put in 100%, whether it's, you know, you go to the grocery store and then I cook the dinner, or just in everything that we do as a family. It's everyone, we all wear many hats here at home. And I hope that my kids take on and do that in their homes and their families as well when they create their families. That, you know, it's a core value, it's commitment, it's consistency to home, to life, to family, to business, to everything that we do.
Yeah, and I love that you say that too, because I think I was meditating on this. It got brought up in my meditation today about the difference between leadership and influence. And if you're trying to influence, like, let's say, for example, since we're on the topic, your children or your family or your team, your employees, your business, you have to go first. And leadership is the being of it, of being the model, being the example, and leading, because how can you lead something that you are not doing? There's a lot of people that can persuade and influence, but I feel like true leadership does start in the house. And even if you've had an example of poor leadership, at least you've had the experience of the duality of like, okay, this was not leadership. I'm grateful that I've had the experience because now I know this was not leadership, and I can just like do the opposite. So it sounds a lot of what you are creating in your household is have experienced the difference of, this is what I really loved about it, of my upbringing, but this is also what I would do a little bit different. And then you and your husband are actually being the example, and you are going first. And that alone is like creating like normals for your children.
Yes, that's absolutely right, Tanya. And we have to lead by example. That's where it all begins. That's, like you mentioned, that's the core value. And as you said, whether it's a bad example, you can turn that into a positive. I know many people that have done that. They've taken the example of, what they saw, and they've become the best versions of themselves, and they've gone and done the complete opposite. But here again, that is very important to my husband and I, that we lead by example in every aspect of our lives, from our friends, again, to our business, to our team, to everything on a daily basis.
Let me ask you this. I know you mentioned you've gone through some hardship, and I'm really sorry about your loss. How were you able to still stay focused during, like, when life just threw really chaotic and traumatic life circumstances out at you? Because a lot of times as business owners, you still have to be able to operate and execute no matter what life throws at you. So to this day, what are some of the things that you use when life just gets really challenging or chaotic, or something not so great happens? How are you able to still like operate at peak states?
Well, one thing, Tanya, that my husband told me a long time ago, and it just, it's just stuck with me forever. He just says, we're always going to have obstacles, but when we have an obstacle, you have two choices. You could sit there and complain about it and be sad about it and do nothing about it, or you can use that time and that energy and find a solution, because there's always going to be solutions to obstacles, right? When you have, or hardships, when you come, across obstacle or hardship, you detour and you find, one door is going to close. So you got to go on to the next door that opens. And that's the way I look at it. I just, again, going back to my parents being immigrants, we faced many hardships. So many people don't know about that because we didn't discuss it. They just, again, when they came across hardships or obstacles, they were spinning their wheels or figuring out, how are we, going to find a solution to this? And they did. They always found a solution. And that's the way I look at it with hardships, with anything that comes across that may be like a dead end, there's never a dead end. You just detour and you find a solution. Another thing, me personally, in my personal life as a person that I learned from my mom, she always made the best of everything, like of her life. I mean, that woman would wake up and she was always happy with a smile on her face. Mm-hmm. And she just said, life is short, and every minute and every moment we have to make the best of this life. And so I take that and I apply it. I try to always apply it as well in business, in our family, at home, with the kids, mm-hmm. with friendships, with hardships. We have to look at the positive side. And, if we could sit there and dwell on things, on hardships that happen to us, but that's not going to get us anywhere. So mm-hmm. I've always looked forward, and I always want to move forward. And again, I just want to find the best solution for the obstacle or the hardship. And mm-hmm. it's going to be there. If you look for it, it's there.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So with different seasons in life, and it sounds like you've done a lot of pivoting, especially having kids. There's different seasons. I've been a kid. I don't have kids, but I've been a kid. And I've been a teenager, and you have as well. But when it comes to business and life, do you have any power tools that you can share with us that you use when it comes to pivoting, or maybe even knowing when it's a season to pivot with your friendships, with business, with yourself? Like, it's time for me to pivot. It's time for me to get to the next level.
I would say, as humans, we always have that instinct, that gut feeling. And when I'm feeling like, it doesn't happen often, but when I'm starting to feel like heavy energy, does that make sense? Like when I'm starting to feel something is just feeling heavy and not light and good energy, and it's just really sitting on me heavy, that's when I know it's time to pivot. And I don't know if you meant that like when it's time to make change. Mm-hmm. But also, again, when I'm starting to feel like something keeps telling me something's not right here, it's not feeling right anymore, then that's when it's time for change. And change is so good. I love change. With change, comes challenge. With change, comes opportunity.